Good morning. This show is coming from a viewer comment on my show about opioid addiction. Tony mentioned, he actually asked me, well, how is opioid addiction different from, say, crack cocaine addiction? Isn't addiction addiction? Absolutely. The addiction is the same, but the cause of the addiction and the people who it is affecting are very different. Now, let's remember that opioid addiction often starts with a medical doctor giving someone a prescription for oxycodone or Vicodin or Percocet because they had minor surgery, they had their wisdom teeth out. A minor dental procedure can lead to an opioid addiction. Let's remember this too. The way opioid addiction starts is the fact that opioids are legal. They're legal. Now, I have always been very honest on this show, and some of my YouTube viewers haven't seen my previous shows, so I'm going to say this right now. It's funny that Tony mentioned crack, because when I was young and stupid, I had a love affair with freebasing cocaine. Now, we didn't call it crack because we cooked it ourselves. Me and my friends, we would cook it up with baking soda and make it into a rock and smoke it. But we knew that that was illegal, and we knew it was dangerous. I guess that was part of the fun. And again, we were young and we were stupid. But when a medical doctor hands you a prescription and says, go to your downtown pharmacy because this is going to make you feel better, this is good for you, that's completely different, because I don't know about any of you, but I never had a doctor give me a prescription for crack cocaine after I had my wisdom teeth pulled. And let me tell you how things have changed. This is going to be interesting because we are a nation of big babies. In 1983, I was 17 years old, and I had my wisdom teeth pulled in the hospital. I went under anesthesia. I had all my wisdom teeth pulled, cut out of my mouth. Stitches here, 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 here. And you know what the doctor said to me? Go home, gargle with warm salt water 3 times a day, and take Tylenol. I never got a prescription for Vicodin or Percocet or oxycodone or any of these drugs. And yeah, you know what? I was in a little bit of pain. Actually, I was in a lot of pain. But I got over it. It didn't kill me. I was fine. I was uncomfortable. And I think that's part of the problem. There's a couple problems here. One problem, is, of course, is the pharmaceutical industry. And the other part is the way society today treats pain or even suffering. If someone you love dies or you lose your pet, there is a doctor out there that's going to say, hey, pharmaceutical industry has a pill for that. You don't have to cry all day. You don't have to mourn the loss of your loved one or your beloved pet. Take a pill, you'll feel better. But should we feel better? Shouldn't we go through the mourning process when we lose a loved one or we lose a beloved pet? You know, when my dog died, I was crying every day. And a doctor said, well, I can give you a prescription. You'll feel better. And so I said, okay. And I took one pill, then I took another one, and I couldn't cry for my beloved dog anymore. And I kept saying to myself, well, I should be crying. That's normal. It's normal to cry when you lose a member of your family that you love so dearly. And isn't crying part of the grieving process? Feeling that pain and coming through it to the other side. And that's when I decided that this house is going to be prescription free as long as we possibly can. And we are prescription free in this house. A few years ago, my husband had a physical. And the doctor said, well, all your numbers are kind of on the fence. You're not diabetic. You don't really have high cholesterol, but you're close. So we could give you some prescriptions, or you can lose 40 pounds. My husband lost 45 pounds because he did not want to go on legal poison. He did not want to go on a prescription drug. I am 53 years old and very proud to say that I am on no prescription drugs, nor is my husband, who is 5 years younger than me. I know, cougar. But not taking prescription drugs makes us happy. I have had several dental issues that were extremely serious. I had a double abscess 2 years ago, and I wanted to take my gun and shoot my head off. I was in so much pain. But do you know what I did? Because it was a weekend. There was nothing I could do. I took peppermint oil and rubbed it on my gums. I took 2 shots of Sambuca and 3 Aleve, over-the-counter pain medication. And that combination helped me to get to sleep. I was still in pain. I was uncomfortable. But I wasn't in wanting to kill myself pain. No pharmaceutical company drugs were involved. But see, in our day and age, in our society, we are telling, especially our young people, there's no need to be in pain. There's no need to suffer. We have a pill for that. That is how the opioid addiction is different. Because it starts out so innocently. And it starts out being perfectly fine because a doctor prescribed it. Instead of the corner drug dealer giving you your first hit for free to get you hooked, guess what? The doctor gives you the piece of paper and the pharmacy charges you for it. And you're hooked. And it's all legal. Now let's talk about opioids and heroin. Because it is interesting to me because Tony mentioned crack cocaine. And isn't it interesting to all of you? I kind of wish, I really do, I'm sorry, I've got to go back a minute. I wish I could get my Facebook family and my YouTube family to talk to each other. I have so many people on my Facebook family who have been so affected by this opioid addiction that turned into heroin addiction. And I wish you could all kind of talk to each other. I do encourage many of my YouTube followers to friend me on Facebook if you can, because I have over 800 family members that I consider family on Facebook that comment all the time on this issue. And we could all learn a lot. But when someone gets hooked on Percocet or Vicodin or oxycodone, they don't turn to marijuana. They don't turn to crack. They turn to heroin, to injecting heroin. Now, as a smart person, I do consider myself a very, very smart person. That leads me to conclude that these pharmaceutical companies are designing these legal drugs, these painkillers, to mimic the effects of heroin. Otherwise, why would a Vicodin addict turn to heroin when they can no longer score Vicodin from their doctor? Obviously, they have the same effect. I'm just saying. And should we allow a pharmaceutical company to make billions and billions of dollars to legally sell a heroin substitute or something that mimics the effects of heroin? Okay? I think that's a good question. As far as pharmaceutical companies go, I am no fan. I have a lot of biases against pharmaceutical companies for reasons that have nothing actually even to do with their product right now. However, There was something that came across my desk the other day about Chantix, the smoking cessation drug. And then I remembered something that happened to my mother years and years ago. And what it seems like to me as I watch the constant barrage of commercials. This drug will help you with this illness. This drug for this illness. I've never heard of these illnesses. But it does seem to me that pharmaceutical companies look for an illness and then design a pill to fix it. And that is exactly what Chantix is. Once the tobacco industry was sued, which I think was wrong, because anybody who smokes a cigarette kind of knows it's not health food. It's just a fun vice, and if you do it, if you do it in excess, you're probably going to get sick, and we accept that risk. But then when all this secondhand smoke shit came out, and everybody wanted to quit smoking, but they didn't have the discipline to do it on their own, pharmaceutical industry said, we have a pill for that. It's called Chantix. Yeah, guess what? I know about 15 people who tried Chantix, and only one of them successfully quit smoking with it because the other people who used it had to get off it because of the side effects. I love the side effects with these drugs. Don't you love it? When you see the commercials for these drugs, and they say, well, it can cause vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. I love the ones that cause both diarrhea and constipation. That's confusing. It can cause suicidal thoughts, depression, flatulence. Yeah, take a drug to cure your arthritis that causes flatulence and then go out to eat with the in-laws or the boss and his wife. Yeah, fun, right? I love the side effect that says could cause instant death, sudden death. That's the side effect from this pharmaceutical FDA-approved drug that they're making billions of dollars on. It can cause sudden death. And because they tell you that, guess what? You can't sue them if you suddenly die. Don't you love it? Now look, if I have arthritis, which thank God right now I don't, and there's a pill out there that can alleviate my arthritis pain, but the side effect is sudden death? Really? I mean, yeah, if I have arthritis, I'm going to ache and hurt and be in pain and go to bed, but I'll wake up tomorrow. But if I take this drug, I might have one day pain-free and not wake up tomorrow. I don't know. I think many of these drugs, their side effects are worse than the disease they're trying to cure, and some of them even, the side effects are symptoms of the disease they're meant to cure. Do you have IBS with diarrhea? We have a pill for that. Oh, the side effects are diarrhea. What? Isn't that what we're kind of trying to avoid? Just asking. Come on, come on. We are smart people. And once again, I'm going back to this we're big babies in America. We don't want to feel 1 inch of discomfort. We don't want to feel any pain. We don't want to be sad when someone dies. I had a girlfriend one time. She was so adorable. And she was on Valium. And Valium's, oh no, I'm sorry. She was on Prozac. And she was the first person I ever met, this was a long time ago, that was on Prozac. And she drank Chardonnay like a fish. I'm like, should you be drinking Chardonnay and Prozac? She's like, oh yeah, my doctor said it's fine. And you should try Prozac. Makes you happy all the time. I'm like, darling, if you're taking a pill that makes you happy all the time, how will you identify real happiness? If you wake up every morning and take a pill in order to feel happy, wow, you must have a pretty sad life. See, I want to feel emotions. If someone I love dies, I want to cry. I want to be sad. I want my heart to break because it should. Yeah, I'm going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to be pretty miserable. But guess what? Nowhere in the Constitution in the United States does it say you have the right to be happy all the time and pain-free all the time. And yet these pharmaceutical companies say, we can make it so. Just buy our product. Fen-phen, the drug loss drug, or the weight loss drug. Oh, that was a good one. My mom went right after fen-phen. This was a long, long time ago, before many of your time. But it's important. It is important. Fen-phen, the pharmaceutical industry saw that people wanted to lose weight, but they didn't want to stop eating bad food because they had no discipline. So the pharmaceutical industry made a drug. Fen-phen, you can take this pill and eat whatever you want, you're going to lose weight. My mom took fen-phen. And she was eating donuts and cheeseburgers and french fries and fried chicken, and she lost 60 pounds. She was in heaven until people started dying, because guess what fen-phen was? It was legalized methamphetamines. It was basically, my mom could have gone down to the corner store, and bought some robin's eggs or black beauties and had the same thing that fen-phen did for her. And some people died from heart attacks. And you know what the pharmaceutical industry did? They took fen-phen off the market after making billions of dollars on the product. And then they settled the lawsuits of those who died or had strokes and heart attacks for millions of dollars. So they made billions. They settled lawsuits for millions. Guess who won? And this is what they do. They will make a drug. They will post all the side effects now, so that if you get a side effect, well, we told you it could happen. But if you do manage to sue them, the settlement they pay you will be so much less than the profits they made from selling their drug before it was found to be deadly or dangerous. They still win. And those who died or had strokes or have become disabled because of their poisons, they lose. Because what good is a $2 million settlement if you're in a wheelchair and can't feed yourself? Or if you're dead? It's no good, really, is it? Your family might be happy. Ooh, we got $1 million. This is the problem. And this is why opioid addiction is so different than any other addiction. When our kids go out, we teach them, don't do cocaine, don't do marijuana, don't buy drugs off the street, don't ever do heroin. Hell, I did freebasing cocaine with people who said don't ever do heroin. They were even afraid of heroin. And now we have 17-year-old kids who, after they get their wisdom teeth out, a rite of passage for all teenagers. Most of us have had our wisdom teeth out. For some reason, we don't need the wisdom they provide us because our mouths aren't big enough to hold them. You get prescribed this opioid, this legal drug, and then you get addicted to it. And when you can't get it anymore, you go down to the corner and you meet your first drug dealer and you score heroin. And then it's all over. That's the difference. And the people it is affecting are kids from good families. Kids whose parents said, oh, we're going to pay for good dental work for our children. You know, if you go to a dentist and you have your tooth pulled and he offers you a Vicodin or a prescription for an opioid, say no. You can deal with it. We're strong people. Be a little uncomfortable for a couple days rather than risking your life to be happy and feel no pain. And remember this too. Opioids mask pain. They don't cure it. And many people who've taken opioids for pain relief end up overdoing it because they feel so good, they do something they shouldn't. and then they end up re-injuring themselves. It is important to feel pain so that you can feel better later. You have to go through the pain, and then you only know you're truly healed after the pain goes away. Naturally. Not being masked by this pharmaceutical billion-dollar industry poison. It is time that we start educating both our citizens to say no to a prescription, which you have every right to do. I say no every time I go to the dentist. In fact, I told the dentist to put on my chart that I am allergic to all painkillers. That way they won't even ask if I want Vicodin or Percocet or oxycodone. I won't even allow it to be brought up in my presence. I've learned how to live through pain. It's time that these little baby bellyacre Americans, these softies, learn how to live through some pain too. I have not lived a day without pain in probably 15 years. Always something aches. I put Bengay on it. I take an Aleve. I drink a shot of Sambuca. I'm good to go. But I acknowledge my pain because it's telling me something. It's telling me to rest, to not overdo it today. Your ankle's hurting. You're not going to pop a Vicodin. You're going to rest your ankle today. It's time that we stop allowing legal businesses to sell us lethal poisons. I hope I answered your question, Tony. I really appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. I'm going to actually be doing another question of yours next week about dressing for sex. Should be a good one. Political Paula is out. Have a great weekend, everyone.